With tier 2 gear just around the corner, you may want to best prepare. I mentioned in a previous video about blessing stacking, and it can be very important for both armor, weapons, and accessories. If you're not aware, this tier 2 gear will be able to go to level 12, meaning you can upgrade it further. But also, you're going to have to do all your traits all over again. It is a higher level than your normal purple gear that we have at the moment. It's exactly like going from blue gear to our purple gear. However, you will still use the same precious growth stones to upgrade it, and it will still only have a maximum of 3 traits with 4 levels. And ultimately, it's going to make your character significantly more powerful. But yes, it is this trait grind that is going to become very expensive, like the early days of purple gear, but even more so because the drop rates on this tier 2, this level 2 epic gear is going to be even lower. It's going to be even harder to obtain. So upgrading these traits is going to be very expensive. You can see right here, for example, if I wanted to level up this ranged evasion on this level 2 epic gear, I could, yes, use level 1 epic gear, but it becomes exactly like blue to purple gear. It's only a 10% upgrade chance. That means on average I would need 10 of these epic pieces to get 1 level upgrade on my level 2 epic gear. The alternative is to, yes, use other epic gear with a 100% upgrade chance. But again, when this update drops, this level 2 epic gear would be very hard to obtain. And so needing that many other level 2 epic gears to actually upgrade your traits is going to be very expensive. You'll be able to trade those traits. You can use trade extracts, whopping 50 of them, and then sell this thing. And you can then buy it from other players, just like we can with our current gear. But again, it will be really expensive in the early days of tier 2 gear. And so you can best prepare for that and get ahead of everybody by making it significantly cheaper for yourself. And I've got 4 different methods I want to talk you through that will show you exactly step by step what you can do in order to basically blessing stack. And we will also have a look at how much it's going to cost you. So before we start with our methods, we gotta get a few basics straight. When you transfer a tier 1 item to a tier 2 item, you will gain 240 blessings per trait you have on that tier 1 item, excluding the first. That's always been the case. So you get a piece with maximum traits, and you will gain 2,640 by transferring a tier 1 epic piece with max traits to a tier 2 epic piece. So we have to keep that in mind. But we also have to be aware of how many blessings we actually need. Jumping to this case where I want to level up the trait on my tier 2 item, if we want to use tier 1 items to upgrade that, we need blessing points, and you will need a whopping 900 blessing points to get to 100%. You can click use blessings and you can see 40 blessings is 4%. 900 for 90%, which then is a total of 100% to be able to guaranteed upgrade the trait with a tier 1 item. That means if we want to upgrade all of our traits, we need a total of 900 times 9, because you're going to do 3 upgrades per trait. You're going to have to unlock the trait either by using trait unlocks depending on the item, or getting a duplicate item piece with that different trait that you need. So that calculates to needing 8,100 blessing points per tier 2 item to max trade it out with just tier 1 items. Like again going from blue to purple, you needed blessings on there to be able to guaranteed upgrade it. So with that in mind and getting 2,640 by transferring, we can then get more by failing to upgrade. So we can do this back on, say, our blue pieces. Say I try to upgrade this tier 1 item with a blue item. You can see when I do try to enchant that without using blessings, if I fail, I gain 40 blessing points. Using this, you can stack blessing points, and we can do that now already. And once tier 2 comes around, you will be able to create blessing points with just tier 1 gear, and you will create 80 blessing points per failed upgrade. So if I were to click enchant here without using the blessings and got a fail, I would gain 80 points. You can read that in the description there. So it is just like this. If you want to feed them in, you have a 10% chance that it upgrades, but the other 90% chance will be that it fails and just gives you blessings instead. But another way to gain traits on items is to simply transfer between different gear pieces. So if I were to take this purple piece and I was to transfer this item with, say, one trait on it, one extra trait on it, I would gain 120 blessings, and that's transferring tier 1 to tier 1. Per trait is 120. If I max out this item and then transfer it, I'm going to gain 1,320. If you transfer from blue to T1 epic, you gain 960, as we all know. If you transfer blue to blue, you only get 24, which would be a total of 192, and that's generally not worth it at all. So ultimately, we jump back to, say, method 1. What can you do to get the 8,120 blessing points that you need? Well, you can simply start getting a blue piece for the slot that you need. You're going to then max trait this out with, say, other blue pieces. And once that's done, you're going to transfer it over to your purple piece of the same slot. And you gain 960 blessing points. Then you're going to max trait that purple piece with other tier 1 purple pieces. This is method 1. And so once this purple piece is max traded out, you're then going to transfer that purple piece to a different purple piece of tier 1. Each time you transfer between, you gain 1,320 blessings. So you're going to do that transferring between purple pieces 3 times to gain the blessings you need. And then the final 4th piece, you will need to trait convert and just use some blue items to gain a few additional blessings. And this, as you can read through the entire steps, will give you then enough blessing points to upgrade all the traits on your tier 2 item using tier 1 purple traits. However, you might be a bit daunted by this, it might seem a bit complicated, but there are simpler methods to this. And that's where we jump to method 2. You can see an awful lot less steps. And here you would start again with your blue piece. But this time around, once you get to that purple piece, you're just going to feed in blue pieces. Just like here. You don't use any blessings and you just go and enchant the piece. If it fails, you get the blessing points. If it succeeds, the trait upgrades. There will come a point where you may need to use trait conversion stones, and you can do that early on, and again, just to make room for having more blue pieces. But just doing that, you can see, will give you over 3,960 blessings, with a 90% to fail to give you those, and then 10% to succeed and get the trait. And so you just max trait this purple item and get it to max level 9, and then you will simply transfer it to your new desired tier 2 piece, getting the extra blessings from that transformation, and now you should have all the blessings you need to max trade out this item. Again, using tier 1 pieces with blessings. But the third method might be the best way for everybody because it's going to make use of your existing gear. This is a Korean character, but you're going to have gear pieces with max traits on tier 1, and you can make use of those with this method. The other two methods do not make use of your existing gear. You need entirely new gear, and you will never be able to transfer it because you've already most likely transferred something into it from the beginning. Your, say, blue pieces you would transfer into your purple pieces, and that's it. You're done. You can never transfer another piece into a piece that's already being transferred into. So if you start with this here, you could, yes, at say step 4, start with your purple piece that you're using right now. But if you do that, then you can't use that anymore because you consume it. But with method 3, you can blessing stack on a trash piece by just starting with that purple piece and blessing stacking with blues. And then once the update comes out at step 5 here, you can transfer your existing purple piece into it and then gain the extra 1,320 blessings, and then transfer that piece into your tier 2 piece to gain those extra 2,600 blessings, and then you have all the blessings you need again to max trade out that tier 2 item with the tier 1 traits. But the final method is the lazy method. You don't worry about this. You just wait till the update drops and you'll just transfer the existing piece you're using into your tier 2 piece and you get the 2,640 blessings. And you can prepare a little bit for this. You just save onto purple pieces that have the traits that you need, and you're just going to feed in those purple pieces. 10% chance they'll succeed and upgrade, 90% chance they'll fail, and just give you 80 blessing points per fail. And then you can use those blessing points in order to use tier 1 traits to upgrade. So this method just requires a lot of purple pieces, basically how you would use blue pieces before. And that could be the cheapest way for you if you can get those purple traits. Now my estimated prices for say method 1 would be like 1,000, nearly 300 lucent there. But this is at the cheap rates of say blue trait extracts being 10 and epic tier 1 traits being at 25. Keep in mind for all of these analysis. So you can see all the steps, the blessings you gain, the amount of gear pieces you have to spend. This is going to exclude the say original pieces you use before transferring, and also excludes the pieces you would need to use to max trait out your tier 2 item using the blessings. But yeah, this would be about 1,300 lucent per piece to do it with method 1. Method 2 is also about 1,300 lucent with just over 132 blue pieces. Method 3 is a bit cheaper because you can make use of your original gear piece, the gear piece you're currently using. It's already max traded out, and so using that, it would only cost you about 1,150 lucent, but that's again at blue traits equaling the price of say 10 lucent. And then step 4 could be the cheapest overall if you can get those purple traits at the cost of say only 25 lucent. If I look on Korea, you can see all those purple traits, tier 1 gear, just cost you 10. But if you go to the more specific ones like cloaks, gonna be like cost you 20, headpieces can be 20 as well, legs 22, 23. So this is somewhat around the expected price of this, but that's after quite a while. Korea's had the game for over a year now, so these prices have had a long time to settle down, and chess pieces are still pretty expensive. But this is this specific trait. Everything else I assume is probably cheap as chips, and you can generally use pretty cheap ones if you're just trying to get blessings. Because keep in mind again, you can always trait convert a trait to a different one and then just use cheap gear to fail stack to get the blessings. But again, these are all my methods. Method 1, method 2, method 3, and method 4. Very rough price ranges for that is like method 1, 1,300 lucent, method 2, 1,300 lucent, method 3, 1,150 lucent, and then method 4, like 900 lucent. Method 4 is about the easiest one. You simply just save purple gear. The problem you'll run into is inventory space. That's why method 1, 2, and 3 can be better. And honestly, method 3 can be the most efficient because you're making use of the gear you're already using. This is the one you'll generally see people recommend. You also make use of all that cheap blue gear and the cheap blue traits that are pretty much all crashed to a price of 10 these days. But overall, I hope this helps. Tier 2 could be within the next few weeks. My suspicion would be just getting tier 2 armors. So that would be what you should prepare for first. Try and get your armor pieces blessing stacked and ready to be able to get max traits when you get this new stuff. The reason I say that is because they can simply introduce tier 2 armor to our existing tier 2 dungeons, our existing field bosses, our existing mobs in like open world dungeons. You can see they are already here in Korea, and that could all happen well before we actually get the new map update, the new expansion area with level 55 and new weapons. And honestly, I think it does need to happen soon. People are getting bored, they're getting maxed out with not much to do. But that's it for now. A special thank you again to all my channel members for their extra support, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.